So, Corden, in this experimental cross-examination therapy, Dr. Tierney and I want you to feel completely comfortable and relaxed. We believe that having two therapists as opposed to one helps us better understand our patient's mental state. Here there is no judgment nor shame.
Well, the experimental equals an eighth of the going rate, so I guess it's a deal I couldn't pass up.
Well, we are glad you could come in today, Corden. So, I'm reading here that this is your first time doing any kind of therapeutic evaluation?
Correct. I was offered a few times while I was overseas, but I felt no reason to get an evaluation while I was on active duty. I had 8 other people in my squad to worry about, let alone myself.
Yes, we read that you were a sergeant. How long were you deployed in Afghanistan?
8 years. Felt like 20. Don't get me wrong, I love serving my country, but it was a matter of losing soldiers that I had made close personal connections with and wondering why we were even stationed out there for so long. I mean, I signed up to get Osama bin Laden and the Taliban and Al-Qaeda, not to rebuild an entire political system. I mean, history has shown us that people rise up and start their own revolutions. They aren't started by somebody else doing it for them.
What did you like about being over there?
Well, that's not a question you hear a lot when you return home. Usually the context behind how was it over there really means how bad was it over there. We had our fun. Drinking. Although the girl-to-guy ratio wasn't really up to par. Watching TV. Playing card games. Pulling pranks on other squads. You know, the usual time killers. But actually, come to think of it, one year we had the WWE's Tribute to the Troops come through in Bagram. And I got to meet Ric Flair. Boy, that man could drink. That was an awesome time. But I guess what I really liked about being over there as opposed to here is over there you had a little more free reign. Here I'm just another citizen with minimal benefits. Over there I had authority. Walking down a city street with an M240 machine gun with 8 other soldiers behind me carrying the same weapon. Demands attention, control, and respect. Powerful feeling. And to some, it might go right to their heads.
Your last point about power going to other soldiers' heads, what do you mean by that?
Well, I'm sure you've seen those pictures of soldiers posing next to prisoners of war and dead prisoners. Stuff like that happened a lot in Afghanistan. But I preached integrity to my squad members, and they never did anything of that nature. But what you gotta understand is that when you're overseas for so long in another country, you get bored. You get homesick. Maybe you're not right in the head when you see a close comrade get killed, but there's no excuse for the barbaric behavior. And it made me ashamed. And it made me sick, to be honest. And it gave us all a bad rap, and I just wanted to disassociate myself.
I see. Tell us, Corden, when would you say you started losing interest in being an Army sergeant?
My 4th year, I'd say. When I lost my first squad member.
Sorry for
about
your
your
loss.
Thanks. His name was Charlie. He was a great soldier. Smart and brave.
Do you still think about him?
Sometimes, yes. Usually as I sleep.
Nightmares?
Yes.
What happened?
We were camped out in a village outside Sharana. As we made our way towards the town, our truck was ambushed by Taliban. As we took cover and had to leave the compromised vehicle, Charlie stepped on an IED, an improvised explosive device. It was supposed to be a secured area. I saw a soldier, a comrade, a friend disintegrate before my very eyes. Just a red dust of flesh blown all over me as I ran for cover and ordered my squad to do the same. After we secured the perimeter, I was horror-struck to see Charlie's blood all over my face and hands. Yet the strange thing was I didn't want to wash it off because it's all I had left to remember him by. You see, doctors, I feel like I'm moments away from stepping on an IED myself. Every day. Do you know what that feels like to live in constant panic?
I hardly sleep. I can't. And when I think of Charlie and the others,
We don't know what that personally feels like, Warden. But we have dealt with post-war vets with similar issues and stories. We understand that you've been severely depressed for quite some time.
What are you writing, Dr. Tierney?
Well, Gordon, usually we do not disclose what's written in our notes during the session. However, I was just jotting down some potential antidepressants I'd recommend. Something that might help you with your stresses.
Look, I'm not taking any pills. I've got enough family members and friends that have gotten hooked on that stuff.
Gordon, nobody is forcing you to take anything. However, there have been many medical advancements in antidepressants with forms such as Zoloft and Prozac. These
Did you not hear what I just said? I'm not taking any goddamn habit-forming pills. Besides, I'm sure there are medicinal options that I'm sure you're both aware of.
All right, Gordon. We'll drop the pill discussion. I'm sure Dr. Tierney didn't mean to impose. All right. So, Gordon, let's transition a little here. Since you've been back, have you found it difficult to reinsert yourself into normal society?
Well, I just landed a few weeks ago. I haven't had much time to settle in.
Have you been doing any leisurely activities? Something to preoccupy your mind?
I've been running outside a little, but other than that, nothing really. Just visiting some old familiar places.
Interesting. They say nostalgia helps with happiness. Where have you visited?
Well, actually, last week I got to visit a house I once purchased before I enlisted.
House?
Tell us about this house, Gordon.
Well, it looks different than it did when I first bought it. The landscape, I mean. I'm surprised in 10 years nobody has purchased it. You see, the whole area was originally going to be a small, gated neighborhood on a drive in a cul-de-sac. But I guess with the economy going the way it did, it was just never finished. Just the one vacant house at the end, surrounded by weeds and high grass and trees. So many gorgeous trees. The landscaping around the house is kept up by the realtor, but you can see in the rest of the area the grass has grown to grains. There's even a swamp with ducks and birds quacking and chirping. Atop one of the tallest trees within the swamp is a bird's nest of herons. Big, beautiful birds. The natural woods have taken over suburbia. The nature of us, you know? The U.S. God, I wish things were different. That house, that could have been it. That house. God, I really miss Claire.
Claire?
Gordon, who is Claire?
Claire? I can't. I can't.
It's all right, Gordon. You could tell us. That's why we're here, to
I
assist
can't.
you in your personal issues.
Gordon, you're fine, okay? Just relax, breathe. Look at me, look at me. Who was she?
She was my high school sweetheart. My fiancée. I asked her to marry me after our prom, and when she said yes, it was the greatest moment of my life. We were supposed to move into that house together after we graduated. I was making a lot of money working construction with my uncle and my father. And Claire, she was going to go to community college and major in sociology. She wanted to be a teacher.
She would have been one hell of a teacher. Claire was a great speaker, a great conversationalist. She could literally talk to you about anything. Very open-minded.
No judgment. Nor shame.
Where is she now?
Now she's an angel. Flying gracefully like those great blue herons.
We are sorry, Courtney.
How did she pass?
Her and I went for ice cream at the local gas station after our graduation. It was late. About 1 in the morning. We drove through a green light at an intersection and we were all of a sudden broadsided by a man in a truck. He was drunk. I broke my arm in 3 places and had a severe concussion, and Claire, she was in critical condition. Comatose, actually. A few hours later, her heart gave out, and after that day, I never got closure. When I was medically cleared, I changed my name, I enlisted in the Army, and I never looked back until I visited that house. She was a very unique girl. Wise and caring. Just a gorgeous human being. And I know that everyone always says that, but no one ever had anything bad to say about her. She was all. And that house that could have been ours, it's now the forest's. It's now nature's.